Hi, good evening, everybody. Probably for some, good morning. Right? Can you hear me well? Testing, testing. Okay. Thank you for the feedback, Muhammad Hassan. Hi. All right. So we'll get started. Today is a light topic, right? There's two topics. The first one is HYSYS stream reporter, right? Maybe I ask a poll if anybody has used HYSYS stream reporter before, right? So I just posted the poll in your chat, right? And the second one is Aspen simulation workbook, right? So I also enabled the poll there and the chat. All right, so these are the two topics we're going to talk about today, right? I hope it's going to be a fruitful session for you, right? Okay, let's move on. All right, so this is for those who may be first time joining this webinar. So this I conduct this webinar. I try to conduct every 2 weeks, right? So this is a profile, my profile, right? I used to love cycling, but I've stopped for about a year now. But looking forward to continue cycling again. Right, so I'm a chemical engineer from Indonesia. Graduate in 2002. I did my Master of Business in National University of Singapore in 2014. Most of my career I spent in engineering, and bulk of it is actually in upstream with company called McDermott. Then I joined a engineering company, Wally, right? So at the time, I did mainly a feed type of work and the front end like feasibility study, due diligence, right? I also did some financial modeling, right? So I did chemicals, a little bit of refinery, mostly around LNG regasifications, right? I joined an operating company, terminal operating company for a short while. Then 2019, I joined Aspen Tech as a solution consulting, right? Okay, so that's about me, right? This is a webinar. I think you can enable your uh, mic, but you can always post your uh, questions. There's a tab here. There's a question tab, right? You can post a question there. Any other maybe communication, you can post it in the chat, right? Okay. Yes. So we will record this. The session is recorded, and we will send the recording uh, to the email register, right? Okay. Right. So this is the agenda. The first one is HYSYS stream reporter, and the second one Aspen simulation workbook. And there's some sub agenda for the Aspen simulation workbook, right? Okay. Is it? Let me maybe disable my video. I hope that that can enlarge the presentation, right? I hope it's better now, right? Okay. Right. Okay, so let me switch to the. Okay, first, um, we're going to talk about HYSYS Stream Reporter, right? So this is a, to me, this is a good tools to actually get the properties of the stream, mainly to produce heat and material balance, right? So I have here a very small simulation, a very straightforward simulations, just for a demonstration, right? So once, let me go back one step back. So where you get this HYSYS stream reporter, so you can log into our support website, right? Then you can search. Typically, I search by keyword HSR, right? HYSYS Stream Reporter, right? So let me post this. This is our website, right? So if you click search, you will see knowledge article, right? The knowledge article. This is the version 14, but version 14 also actually refers to, if you see, it actually refers to the version 12.1. So now we no longer update it because we can just point and select latest version installed, right? So you will use uh, the file is the same. We just point to the latest version installed. So you can the file itself you can download from here. This is the latest, actually the latest HSR, which can be used for any version, right? From 12.1 and above, right? So you can download. This is if you click this, it will download. I've downloaded mine, right? And I've opened it. Okay. So this is how it looks like when you open it, right? So if you open this and you open HYSYS, right? If I click this update list, it will show what all the cases um, is open, right? So let's say I open another case, right? Maybe I'll just open from example, say TEG, right? Okay, so I have two HYSYS file open. Let's check this out, right? So if I click this update list, so you can see, right, I have two HYSYS file, and now I can choose the stream, right? So this is the stream is sorted ascending, descending. You can always, then we can add. Typically how I do it is I just select this according to the kind of the sequence I want to do, right? So for example, I want to do from according to the sequence of this, right? So uh, let's say I want to do hot well fluid, cool well fluid, gas, liquid, pump discharge, then the cooling water, right? So I can just go here like hot well fluid, then I can click this selected, right? It can also read the workbook, right? You can see this is, you can sort it by ascending, descending. So if you already number this, it's, you can easily do it, but clicking use all, right? Ascending or descending, right? So you can also use a workbook, right? For example, this is the workbook. But typically what I do is I use it to manual, right? So I edit manually typically according to what the sequence I want. So let's say hot well fluid, then cool well fluid, then I have gas, right? Then I have liquid to pump, then I have pump discharge, right? Then I can add the cooling water, these two, right? I can add from multiple file. You can see I can always choose this again and add it, right? So you can combine the table or the summary from multiple files, right? So in this case, I will just use one file, right? So I'm using this. Okay. Then the next step is basically we need to add the output sheet, right? So let's add, you can just click this add sheet, right? So this is the output sheet, right? It will write the table, the summary of the stream to this sheet, right? So what are the properties we want to write? So we have this a list of template already, right? You can see here a list of template. Let's say we choose this as a starting point, HYSYS stream summary, right? We can click this use, right? So you can see here, these are the lists. And of course, it could be, you can change this, right? For example, your material balance probably maybe have a different format, right? So maybe the overall is just name, paper. So you can see here, you can choose what are, like, for example, this is overall temperatures, right? Then let's say I just need mass, molar flow, liquid, and I don't need the, let's say, this part, right? For the overall, so I can delete this, right? I can customize this, right? So then let's say I move this, right? So and I can save this as a new list. Okay, save this as a new list. Save current, right? For example, this is my stream list. Okay. So next time I can always use this, right? So all the properties available are here, right? So we can check what all are the properties available here, right? Then that's it. I think after that we can just click this write table. Oops. Oh, something wrong. Okay, let me. Okay, seems like it can't read my file. Let me do it again, right? So let me save this. Let me close this. Oh yeah, I've removed the file. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I've removed my file. I've removed my file. Unfortunately, it's actually that file. Okay, sorry. Yeah, I was updating. Right. And then I need to open it again. Okay. Okay, let's go back to this update list. Should be updating. Okay, right. So now I can write the table. Okay. All right. So this typically, right, we can format it, this table, right, and copy it to AutoCAD or whatever, right? So this, and we can also convert this, like, for example, advanced, right? Here we can actually copy that output sheet, copy and convert it to normal Excel, copy the output sheet, and copy and convert it, right? So we can do that, right? So this sheet has the link, right? You can always update it when you click this update stream table, right? It will update it, right? If you have the simulation updated, right? Okay, I think that's a quick one on the HYSYS stream reporter. So I do see question, can HSR provide critical properties like critical pressure, temperature, and run number? Let me check, right? So for example, okay, let me check. Okay, let me clear this. Let's say heavy liquid properties. Okay, so this is has the pseudo critical pressure, critical temperature, right? Run number. Yeah. Run number, I don't think so. Let me check how to get that, right? So overall, I don't think we can report run number. Let me check. Z vapor pressure, RVP. Okay, so we have RVP there. Yeah. Okay, let me check that also. Yes. Okay, Mohammed, I just missed the first step. Could you tell the selections of the HYSYS case? The HYSYS case is basically you open HYSYS file, right? Any HYSYS file being open in this HYSYS, then you open the HSR file, right? And you can click this update list. It will read whatever files you open. Like for example, if I open another file here, right, so it's now we have two HYSYS file open, and you can click this update list, and it will also read that file, right? Then Hassan, the HSR is free download from support website. So I will post the article. This is the article where you should download, right? So this is the link to the article, right? So when you open that from the website, you go to the attachment below. This is if you click, you will download this Excel file. Okay. All right. So let me go. Right. So so HSR only get data if we open one simulation. You can open multiple simulations. So you can see here, right? I open two simulations, and I can add the data from the two simulation file, right? You can see here, if I click this second simulation file, the stream is also updated to the stream simulation file, and I can add that to this list also, right? So this list can be combination from different simulation file, right? Whatever you open, okay, right? So I will on the run number, I will check offline, right? Okay, so I will now go to the let me save this, and let me just close this, right? Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to I will go through the Aspen simulation workbook. So Aspen simulation workbook is a link between HYSYS. It can be also between HYSYS and Excel, right? It can be also Aspen Plus or Aspen EDR. So why we want to link between HYSYS and Excel, right? So it could be, right, we want to do some uh, uh, I think the most obvious one is we want to pull some data and create a report in Excel. That is one use of this, right? And sometimes also we want to simplify our simulation interface, right? So we want to hide the complexity of the model, but just presenting to the user an Excel interface, right? So that's another use of this also, right? So how do we create this? If you have installed Aspen Simulation Workbook, you will see you in your Excel a tab called Aspen Simulation Workbook. Right? So when you open the Excel, you go to the tab Aspen Simulation Workbook, and you can enable this. So I will close this my file first, right? My HYSYS, right? So then I can enable this. I can enable the Aspen Simulation Workbook, right? So it will, after enabling the Aspen Simulation Workbook, right? I need to select which HYSYS file I want to connect, right? So how to do that is we go to this simulation, we can click plus, right? So I've put this in the desktop, so I can click this open, right? So I'm pointing the simulation. Then after that, I can click connect. Okay, let me browse the file. Okay, so you can see here now it's trying to connecting to the simulations, right? So this icon will change after it's connected, right? So it's still connecting. So you can see just now it's opening HYSYS. Okay, now successfully activated simulation, right? So now this logo, this icon changed to connected, right? Then we can click this visible, right? So typically we make this visible when we are building the interface or the link, right? So this is the simulation you can see, right? Okay, so how we link the different variables, we have to go to organizer, right? So under the organizer, we go to model variables, right? So you have this empty list of model variables because we have not defined. So we can go back to this, we can make this simulation feasible, and we copy the variables we want, right? The variables can be the input variables or the calculated variables, it doesn't matter, right? So you can, for example, here I want to copy these three variables, right? So I can block these three variables. I can right click copy, right? Then I go back to the Excel file with the organizer open. Under the model variables, I right click, paste variable from clipboard, right? So you can see now it's pasted here, right? Then let's say I want to also copy another variables. Let's say cooling water, right? Copy, paste, right? Then let's say I go back here again. Let me copy, for example, here, the heat exchanger, probably the duty, right? I can copy and paste, right? Let's say we also target the copy the temperature here, right? So it's actually this temperature. Okay, let me copy Okay, then maybe some variables like the gas flow rate, let's say mass flow, right? And let's say just the liquid mass flow also. Okay, so any variables we can copy, right? Okay, so you can see here there's a specified and calculated, right? And I can now add this right into the spreadsheet, right? So for example, okay, I'm going to do, let me move all this. So we can, sometimes we use this, right? I mean, use the PFD to, as an illustration, right? So we can paste it there, right? But here you can also insert icon. You can see here, we have some icons here, like for example compressors, etc. But it's up to you if you want to build that icons by icons, right? You can do that, right? For example, let's do, okay, I'm going to this part to show the hot well fluid, right? So hot well fluid, the variable is this, right? I can insert a table. So here there is a create table, and I paste it here. I click it OK, right? So I can choose the template here. So I just want name, value, and units. I can click apply. So here maybe I just say, if we want to show the title, this is, let's say, hot well fluid. Let's say, right? The columns, you can see this is the column, name, value, and units, and basically the variables are these three, right? So it's like that. You can change this, right? So now this is linked, right? This is linked to the simulation, right? So let me add some more variables, right? So cooling water in, let's say I'm going to add this. Okay, let me do another way, right? So typically I add when by selecting this in the organizer, but you can also close the organizer, then you can click here, right? Then you can go here under design, create variable tables, right? So in this case, same, I will do name, value, units. Then let's say this is cooling water in, right? Then columns, nothing changed. This is the, now we select the variables, right? So then we can select these variables, right? So you can see, okay, and click finish. So this is are the two ways. So you can create from here or from the organizer, right? And you can do a formatting, right? For example, this one is actually an input, right? So maybe you put it that way. I think this was calculated variables, right? Then maybe you have different format for calculated variables. Okay, so heat exchanger, cooling. Okay, so now let me just add one more, the heat exchanger duty. Let me put it here. Heat exchanger duty is this one, right? So I can click this, add, right? Okay, right? So let's say if I change, for example, now this is linked. This tables now is linked, right? And you can see also if you click this, right, the table, there's a ASW menu on the right, right? We'll talk about this later, right? But you can see now, for example, now I'm going to change the inlet temperatures of the hot well fluid, let's say to 100, right? So before I do that, so here currently it is reading the simulation, right? So it's 110, and it's two-way. You can change it in an Excel, you can change it in simulation. It works bi-directional, right? So for example, I change this to 100, right? So if I change this 100 in the simulation, in my Excel is also changed, right? So you can see it's also changed here. And same thing, if I change this here, it's also changed in the simulation, right? So now become 90, right? So this is a simple things, right? So you can create and summarize your simulations in this in the variable tables, and all this you can rename, right? You can rename this long name to a shorter name, right? Okay. uh, right, so that is the first part, right? So how what if you need to modify the table, adding variables, editing, deleting, right? So you can click the table, right? You can see here there is a menu, right? So you can duplicate the table, for example, right? I'm duplicating this table, let's say here, right? And I can, let's say I can delete this table, right? So when you delete, is removing the simulation link, means that if you just remove the simulation link, it's going to be a text only, right? Or you want to remove the link as well as delete the cell, right? So we can try, let's say, removing the link, right? So if I change this to 100, right? So this one changed, this one doesn't change, right? Because this is now a dummy table, right? Then we can delete this table also. Okay. Okay, so you can, let's say you want to add another variables, right? So you can modify the table, right? It will bring up this again, and it will, you can so for example, I want to add another variables, right? So for example, I want to add the cooling water outlet temperature, right? I can add, but maybe I want to add separation between this and this. I can insert blank, right? So you can see this is, there's an insert blank, and I can click OK, right? So that's how I change the table. Now you can see this, and there's a blank, right? So that's how you modify. You can move the table. For example, if you want to move, you can select where you want to move. Click OK, right? Don't copy and cut like in Excel. Use this menu to actually modify the table, right? Duplicate, move, modify, delete. You use this table, right? You can also create a template, right? So we talk about the first topic and the second topic, modifying the tables, right? The third topic is unit of measurement, right? Unit of measurement, we can change it in the organizer, or there are two ways of doing it. We can change it in the organizer. For example, here, the temperature and the cooling water, right? This one is degree C, right? So let's say if we want to change it to F, it will change this also to F, right? Okay. The second way doing how to do it is you select the table and you right click. You go to simulation workbook, there's a convert unit, right? Then you can, let's say, put it back to C. It will change back to degree Celsius, right? Okay. Then, okay, next one is scenario table. So scenario table is like a case study. Like a case study in HYSYS, right? So for example, maybe in this case, we want to vary the, let's say, let me think how I set up this. This temperature is, okay, let me delete this. So I can actually remove this mass flow, right? I can set this based on the temperature here. Let's say I set at 40. Okay. Unknown pressure. Let me see. Oh, I understand. So this is a rigorous. This is a rigorous heat exchanger model. Okay, let me go back to the simple exchanger model first. Okay. Give it a sec. Let me just put some pressure drop here. Okay. All right. This one, yeah, then maybe outlet 40. Right? So it should calculate the cooling water. Right? There might be temperature. Okay. Right. Okay. All right. So let's say I want to vary this temperature outlet, and I want to check the duty as well as, let's say, the liquid flow rate, right? So I want to do that case study. I want to vary this, let's say, from 60 to 40 with increment of 5, right? So I have these variables already, right? I have the duty variables, I have the temperature outlet variables, I have the mass liquid mass flow rate variables already in the organizer, right? But now I can select, right? So cooling water outlet temperature, right? This is the specified. Then I can choose the duty also, and I can choose the liquid flow rate, right? And maybe I just choose the gas also. And I can create what we call scenario table, right? So here there's a create scenario table. I put it here, right? Click OK. All right. Okay. So let's say this is well fluid temp versus duty and flow rate. Right. I can define how many cases, right? So let's say 4 cases. Okay, 4, 5, let's say. This is the input, the independent variables, and this is the variables to be calculated, right? So I can click finish. Okay, click OK. So let's say this is, I want to start from 60, then I put 60 minus 5, right? Now I can run this. I can run this by right clicking simulation workbook. If I want to run only that, I can run selected scenario and it will only run that row, right? But I can also run active scenario and it will choose, you can choose which scenario you want to run You can also save a copy after simulation, each simulation case. So you will have those different run. If you tick this, you will create that, right? You will save here, right? Then you can run this, right? So let's run. Okay, it's finished. Can click OK. Then it will produce this, right? So then we can plot this, whatever we want to do with this data, right? So the where to select the scenario table in ASW, you can go from organizer, you select the variable, then you click here. If you hover it, there's a create scenario table. Or the other way, the second way, same, you go select the cell, then create, it will go to drop down, then scenario table, right? Then same here, basically it will ask you which the input variable, for example, the cooling water outlet, and output variables is the duty, then the flow rate of the gas and the liquid. And then you can click finish like that, right? Two ways to edit it, right? Oh, sorry, to create it. Okay, then next is basically we can go to deployment and protection, right? So deployment and protection, you can protect the what you have built. Like for example, if you don't want the user to access the organizer, right? You can remove that from access, right? That's right. So it's only able to run, right? And it cannot do anything. I've removed that, and let's say I put password 123, right? 123. Okay, let's save it, right? So you can see here now the organizer is disabled. I cannot add anything, right? So I cannot create table, etc. So this is if you as a developer you already built the interface, etc. You want to deploy this, you can protect it, right? So that it doesn't get changed by the user, right? So the other thing also, let me unprotect this again, right? So it become unprotected, right? I can also embed the I can also embed the simulation file, right? So you can see this one is linked. So the case, like just now, what happened to me is I move the case, right, from my desktop. I remove it to other, and then that's why the when I click connected, it cannot find, right? It cannot find the file, right? So this is linked to case. As long as the location doesn't change, is fine, right? But the other way also, you can embed the case file, right? So if you go to the simulation, you can click this import embed cases. Okay, let me close this. Right, so let me make sure it's not visible and disconnected first. So this is not active. Then I can import embed. So you can see here there's a HYSYS file embedded, right? So let's try. Let me save this. Save as. Okay, let me close this. Right. So I will go here and open this embed. Okay, it's opening the Aspen simulation workbook. Right. Let's click connect. Just connecting now. So you can see it's actually running from the embed file, right? So it's not reading from the path, right? It's reading from the embed file, right? Now we can make it visible, etc. So you can distribute this Excel. Inside that is already containing the HYSYS file, right? So this is one way of deployment. Of course, the other way is you can see here, you can actually put the HYSYS file in a different machine, and the Aspen simulation workbook then connect to that machine as a remote server to run the HYSYS, right? So that you control the HYSYS file, the user only receive the Excel file, and it connects to the machine which run the HYSYS file, right? So that's another way of deployment, right? So you can embed it or you can do a remote execution, right? Okay. Yeah, I think that's pretty much what I want to share about the Aspen simulation workbook, right? Can we change the data in adjust set? Yes, you can. You can just copy also. You can do adjust. It's the same. If you put a adjust, right? For example, here I have this adjust. You just need to copy this. Let's say this variables, right? If you copy, go back here, or oops, I close it. Then what are variables? I can paste that, right? So you can see this is the adjust a variable target from the adjust. I can copy it, right? Okay. Hope that it is used. So I'm planning to create a course. Let me know if you are interested. There are a few more advanced features in Aspen Simulation Workbook, right? If you are keen to have that course, I'm planning to create that, right? Let me know. So you can also subscribe to my newsletter, right? And next week we're going to have flash system analyzers. So Aspen flash system analyzers is a tools for checking or sizing your flare network, right? Your flare headers, right? So this is we'll go through a quick kind of a crash course on the Aspen flare system analyzer, right? Then 2 weeks from now, we will have a webinar. The presenter is Novian Buyung Pamungkas. It's about distillation column modeling in HYSYS, right? So yeah, hopefully that's useful for you, right? So I'll see you next week, right?